Oasis, Married with Children.
Yeah.
XFM 104.9. It's the Ricky Gervais Show. Who am I, Steve?
Gervais, you are Gervais.
Yeah.
You are Ricky Gervais.
Lucky you, yes, it's me, Ricky Gervais.
The story began in 1998, a few months after Princess Diana died, when Ricky Gervais got a job as head of speech for alternative radio station XFM. When he was in need of an assistant, he hired Stephen Merchant, who featured on the radio station as a co-presenter with Gervais. At the time, they had no idea how successful they would go on to be. After a handful of radio shows together, they got along so well that they decided to sit down and write a TV show called The Office. The show was a hit in the UK, but Ricky and Steve returned to XFM in August 2001, after it was taken over by the Capital Radio Group. Karl Pilkington was brought in to produce the show and press the buttons, and this was the first time the famous trio ever met. I liked him instantly, as he wasn't impressed by who I was. I think the first words I said to him were, "Why have you got a round head?" And he replied, "What shape's a head meant to be?" I laughed straight away as he didn't go, "How insulting." So I asked if I could hit it with my phone and he said okay. And afterwards he asked, "Did it make a normal noise?" As humans, we use humour to see if someone's on our wavelength, and I felt Karl was the funniest man I'd ever met. After realising what a character Karl was, the pair would often talk to him during the first season of the Ricky Gervais Show. He became the focus of the show, reading silly fake news articles that he found online, in a regular segment called Monkey News, which never failed to make Ricky burst out laughing.
Familiar with the phrase monkey business?
No, never heard that one before, Karl. That's brilliant.
Their show was broadcast on Saturdays and Sundays for 2 hours. After making Karl a co-host on the show, Ricky and Steve took a break to complete season 2 of The Office. This time they returned and went on to do 51 weeks without missing a weekend show, eventually taking a break to record the final episode of The Office.
I'm getting married.
Oh, yeah, I heard. Congratulations,
Cheers,
man. Yeah.
You too. Her name's Rebecca. We've been going out about 6 years and...
Karl eventually got annoyed with Ricky's antagonism towards him and flirted with leaving XFM. But while Ricky and Steve were busy with The Office, Karl signed on with their talent agent and negotiated a deal with XFM to get Mondays off in exchange for continuing the show on Saturdays. Karl frequently got backlash from Ricky for getting a whole day off in exchange for 2 hours of work each Saturday. The show took its final break when Ricky and Steve went off to film their new show Extras.
I'm fine, man. Just doing another film that's gonna make loads of money. Probably a lot more money than any film you've ever made. Good.
The Ricky Gervais Show then finally split from XFM and radio entirely, becoming one of the first downloadable podcasts. This meant that they could do what they want, say what they want, without the need to play music all the time, which would sometimes interrupt a hilarious conversation. It was during these years between 2003 to 2005 that The Office US was being developed and then filmed.
I hope they get rid of me, because then I might actually get off my ass and do something.
Despite not having a hands-on role in the show, Ricky and Steve would end up making an absolute fortune for their role in creating the original Office, as well as being named as executive producers of The Office US. The Ricky Gervais Show in its podcast form took off like a storm, gaining a world record for most downloaded podcast in 2006. Most people don't understand that these guys paved the way for podcasting and showed the world that the format was not to be laughed at. These days, radio is nothing compared to podcasts, and so when they made that switch back in 2005, it was unbelievable foresight from them. In 2006, the podcast had been downloaded nearly 18 million times, and as of 2011, the podcast had over 300 million downloads. The podcast was originally free to download after Ricky and Steve approached The Guardian about hosting it on their website. Because of how many downloads it was getting, each new episode was eventually put behind a paywall, and the show was then classified as an audiobook. In 2006, the Ricky Gervais Show had unofficially ended. Various random releases would pop up from time to time, but there was no regular show or podcast anymore. During this time, the three of them were focusing on their own projects. Ricky Gervais is known for ending his projects before they go bad. He never wants to drag something on just because he enjoys it or because it makes him money. Making money just wasn't a worry anymore for Ricky in 2006. In fact, none of his TV shows have ever gone on for more than 3 seasons, except for The Office US, which he didn't have much control over.
Oh, chimpanzee that monkey news.
Excellent. Okay. Right, where were we? We were just start again. There's some people making a documentary. For what? Okay.
Making a documentary in a jungle and that.
Right.
Stumble across a little gang.
Okay, come on.
All right.
A little gang of monkeys.
Yeah. But anyway, they were watching this one, right? And it's going around a bit, sleeping around.
Oily.
And it was getting fatter. They thought this is a bit odd.
Yeah.
Right. So followed it round. and see it having it away. Turns out, little prostitute.
Oh, God!
It's a little monkey prostitute.
It was getting fatter because it was charging them bananas.
What a load of old rubbish. It's charging them bananas. What was it, a boy or... It was a...
Woman. Little woman monkey.
That's the most extraordinary monkey news I've ever heard.
Oh! That is genius!
Has this documentary been televised?
I don't think it's been on yet.
No.
And that's all the information you've got?
Yeah.
And is that's one banana for everything?
The half a banana is for...
Just oral?
A poor job.
Right.
If you want full-blown monkey sex, it is 2.5 bananas.
Sure.
The internet is full of hilarious clips from the many hours of material that the trio have released over the years. 2010 was the culmination of Karl Pilkington's career, with the release of the first season of An Idiot Abroad and the release of the animated TV series version of The Ricky Gervais Show, which was released on HBO.
Hello and welcome to the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant. Hello. And the little round-headed buffoon that is Karl Pilkington.
All right.
The hours of material was put together with eye-catching animations which made the content even funnier now that you could visualize Karl's crazy stories. During the many hours they spent together chatting, Ricky often mentioned that he wants to get Karl on television, and in 2010 it finally happened. An Idiot Abroad was a comedic travel series where Ricky and Steve teamed up with Sky to send Karl to see the 7 wonders of the world. But they didn't want to put him up in 5-star hotels because they thought it would be funnier. This seemed to seriously annoy Karl since Ricky and Steve were probably profiting from the show just as much as him while not having to go and travel like a bum. Karl was flown all around the world being exposed to some of the world's best and worst sights. His dry sense of humor and one-liners made for great entertainment, and the show lasted for 3 seasons, before the moaning of life was then made. Ricky and Steve were not involved in the moaning of life, and Karl went to places he actually wanted to visit. The relationship between the three fizzled out after An Idiot Abroad, and when Ricky called Karl during a live radio appearance, Karl complained that he was still waiting to be paid.
Alright, what's going on?
You alright, mate?
Yeah. I just thought, I'm grouting. Up a ladder, phone keeps ringing, eight missed calls. I'm thinking, it must be important, someone died or something.
But hold on, though.
A fella saying, come on the radio.
I don't understand.
I've been trying to get on the radio all week to plug the DVD, which is out now, in Idiot Abroad. Nobody was interested. Suddenly you're on, you say call him up, but everyone's got to start panicking, getting me on the air. What?
Why are you still grouting? You've been grouting all week. I mean, it must be... Are you doing a shoddy job, or are you going over things? I don't understand.
They're little small tiles, aren't they? It takes ages.
But, Karl...
No, you've never done it in your life.
No, I don't. No, because my time is... I get paid more than a tiler, so it'd be mad for me to spend my time tiling. I wouldn't be saving money,
right.
I'd be losing money. So
Right,
you earn more than a tiler. So
no, I don't. Not at the moment. Nothing's happening, is it? Nothing's rolling in at the moment.
DVDs
No work is coming in.
your DVD's at number 5 in the charts.
Yeah, but hey, Richard, you don't see that money for ages, mate. Honestly, nothing happens.
He's so annoyed. He was annoyed, right? We've just got an animation on in America, Canada, Scandinavia, Australia, right? Channel 4, right? Being second series being made.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
He's going. When are we getting paid? When are we getting paid? He thinks it's going to come every week in a little brown envelope with gum on it. No, it doesn't.
I don't know how long I'm going to be around for. And anything else, like you say, if I was a tiler, I'd do the tiling and then the person would pay me.
Right.
But in this line of work, everyone's always quite ready yet. The money's in a pot. Where's the pot? Where's the money? It just annoys me because someone could die here who's signed this off.
Karl,
And
that was a metaphor. There's no real pot. When they said, it's got to go in the pot, they meant all those DVDs, they go in there and they see what the profit is, and then we get a profit share. Most people don't get a profit share. You have walked into this job under the wing of me and Steve Merchant. You should be so lucky. You've had the easiest ride of anyone in entertainment ever in the history of the world.
No, it's not good, though. Everyone keeps going, oh, you must be a millionaire. No, I'm not, because the money's split. So many hands are out. Every job I do. Ricky and Steve weren't away with me when I was abroad, yet they get a big bib of it. They put their hand out. Their agents have got their hands out. I am not a millionaire, so let's get that out there. I'm skint at the moment. No money's coming in. I've just been on the phone then. The reason I didn't answer one of the 8 calls that I've just had is because I was on the phone to the electric people, giving them a meter reading. They'll want paying on time. I can't just tell them, oh, the money's in the pot. The tax man. The money's in the pot. You can have it when I get the pot. I don't know when I'm getting paid. That's how it works. I'm sick of it.
Good, well, thanks very much, Karl.
Yeah, thank you, Karl. Karl, what room are you grouting?
Just in the kitchen.
It's in the kitchen, right, okay.
But what are you, is it all tiled? It must be like being inside a bath.
No, there's one wall that there was tiles up. I pulled some off. The wall underneath was damaged, so I thought, right, I best not pull them all off. But what I'll do, I'll get my Dremel out. I'll take out all the grout.
You what?
The Dremel. It's like a tool that you use for getting the grout out.
Right.
Take out all the grout. Put new grout in, they look as good as new.
Thanks,
anyway,
Karl.
time for the news.
He knows the format of 5 Live.
You can tell that Karl is actually annoyed and fed up with his wealthy friends making fun of him for doing DIY when he's actually struggling financially. Karl left school at 15 years old so that he could earn a living, and Ricky was raised poor as well, living on government aid well into his 20s. But Ricky was about 50 at this time, and had boatloads of money from his TV shows, movies, and stand-up shows. Karl had nothing but his reliance on Ricky and Steve's project for years.
And he called up and said, this programme's happening. And I was like, right, what now then? And he said, I'll be in touch. All right then. And that was that. So I was none the wiser, and I'd sort of agreed to it. And then it sort of, as I did the first trip, I realised it was just a wind-up, really, with Ricky. Mainly Ricky annoying me.
What a surprise.
You know, putting me up in horrible places, having to do horrible stuff. It's not really about the wonders of the world. Yeah, it was. I mean, I tried to get out of it. I called up. I did like 3 calls, saying I don't want to do this anymore. I want to, you know. I said send the contract on email. I want to see if I can get out of this. In India, I actually called up the director who was like in charge, but in London, saying they can have the money back. I said I cannot do this. I was ill out of both ends.
I sent him around the world because I knew it would be out of his comfort zone. And
it's a show, Karl Pilkington Around the World. You're doing it again.
Yeah, it's called An Idiot Abroad. He didn't come up with the title. We didn't even know it was the title until he saw the billboards. Oh. It's just great. It's like one big experiment. Like, you know, like you muck around and annoy mates?
Yes.
I do that on a global scale.
Yes.
Yeah. We're backed by millions.
Right, you're my neighbour.
Okay.
Why do you keep putting bins out? The bin men doesn't come till Thursday. You keep putting bins out.
I'm sorry, Karl. I'm very sorry. I've had a bit of trouble. I woke up this morning and it's the worst it's ever been. I've got distended. I've got a prolapse. Distended. My testicles are very, very low because I'm old. I'm lactated.
Yeah, all right. Listen, can you just put the bins out on a Thursday?
I can't do that. My balls are so low because I'm an old man.
Can you put the bins out on a Thursday? The bin men doesn't come till a Thursday. It's Tuesday. You're putting bins out too early. There's foxes getting at them. There's shit all over the place. There's dirty underpants you keep putting in the bin. I've told you it attracts foxes. Stop putting the fucking bins out two fucking days early when they've got to sit there and it attracts shit. And trying to sell me flats. These dirty, shitty undies all over the fucking pavement.
This has happened to you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Did it really?
Yeah, it has.
What did you do?
They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. I did my new book at home, you know, all the writing and the drawings and that. Which, you know, should be a pleasure to do, really, you know, working out of home. But it wasn't. The amount of noise from downstairs, they've got builders in at the moment and they're ripping the place apart, they're knocking down walls, they're drilling all hours. It's been doing me head in, there's dust everywhere, I've been breathing that in, which made me ill a bit. So that's when Ricky said, you know, if I wanted to get away from the noise and that, I could use his office to work in. But it can be just as hard to work in there sometimes.
Is that annoying?
A little bit.
Gotta keep it clean. Gotta keep hygienic, don't you? You were complaining before that you you're ill. So, you keep your surroundings clean, then you will never get ill, will you?